The hardest part of walking away isn't the leaving itself, but the realization that you've given everything, and yet it still wasn't enough to heal the wounds that never truly healed. I didn't want to leave, but I had to. My heart was broken, and I was losing myself in the process. I had to walk away to find myself again. Walking away was an act of self-love, even if it didn't feel like it at the time. Sometimes you have to choose your own healing over everything else. Forgive me for leaving, but the truth is, I couldn't stay and lose myself entirely. I had to walk away to save the last piece of me that still believed in love. I walked away not because I didn't love you, but because I loved myself enough to know when to let go. Sometimes love means setting yourself free, even when it hurts. Sometimes walking away isn't about giving up. It's about knowing that staying would only drag you further into the depths of your own pain. I had to go to survive. Leaving wasn't easy, but sometimes the hardest decisions are the ones that save you. My heart needed healing, and staying would have only delayed the inevitable. Forgiveness for walking away is a gift I had to give myself. I couldn't keep carrying the weight of a love that was only causing me pain. I left because I knew that staying would only rob me of my peace. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away from what's hurting you, no matter how much you wish you didn't have to. Forgive me for walking away, but my heart could no longer bear the weight of love that wasn't returned. I had to let go, even if it meant breaking a piece of myself in the process. I walked away because staying was destroying me. Sometimes you have to make the painful choice to leave in order to save yourself from the slow destruction of your soul. Leaving wasn't about you, it was about me. My heart couldn't handle the constant ache of a love that wasn't meant to be. Forgive me for walking away, but I had to choose peace. Sometimes the hardest thing you can do is walk away from someone you love. But sometimes that's the only way to protect your heart from further pain. I walked away because I needed to reclaim my happiness, even if it meant walking away from something that once made me feel whole. My soul needed healing, and I had to be brave enough to let go. Forgiveness isn't just for the one who wronged you, it's for yourself too. I had to forgive myself for staying too long and not walking away sooner. I walked away not because I didn't care, but because I loved myself too much to stay where I was constantly hurting. Sometimes leaving is the only way to find the peace you deserve. Forgive me for leaving, but I couldn't continue pretending that everything was fine. Sometimes you have to walk away from what's hurting you to find the strength to heal. I had to walk away because I realized that my heart deserved better than what I was giving it. Staying would have meant sacrificing my own well-being for the sake of a love that wasn't whole. Leaving was painful, but staying would have been far worse. Sometimes you have to walk away to stop the cycle of pain and reclaim your sense of peace. Forgive me for walking away, but sometimes the best thing you can do for your heart is to step away from what's breaking it. I had to let go to survive. Walking away wasn't easy, but sometimes it's the only thing that makes sense. My heart couldn't handle the weight of staying, and I had to choose myself over everything else. The hardest part about walking away is realizing that you're leaving behind something you once believed in. But sometimes you have to let go to make room for something better. I had to leave because my heart couldn't bear the constant ache of unreciprocated love. Sometimes the only way to heal is to step away and allow yourself the space to breathe again. Forgive me for walking away, but my heart needed freedom. I had to let go of what was suffocating me, even if it meant losing a part of myself in the process. Walking away wasn't a sign of weakness, but of strength. It takes courage to leave behind what you once thought was everything, but it's necessary for your own healing. I walked away because the pain of staying became unbearable. Sometimes you have to leave behind what you thought you couldn't live without to save yourself. Forgiving myself for leaving was the hardest part, but staying would have meant sacrificing everything I had left, and I couldn't do that to myself anymore. I walked away because I needed to protect my heart, even if it meant letting go of something I thought I couldn't live without. Sometimes you have to let go to heal. Forgiveness for walking away comes with time. I had to leave because staying would have meant slowly losing the part of me that still believed in love. Forgive me for walking away, but sometimes the weight of unspoken words, of love unreturned, becomes too heavy for my heart to carry. It's not that I didn't care, it's that I cared too much, and in the end, it broke me. I had to walk away, not because I wanted to, but because my soul was begging for peace. Sometimes you need to choose yourself, even when it feels like you're abandoning everything you ever wanted. The hardest part of leaving isn't the actual walk away. It's the moment when your heart shatters and the echoes of what could have been haunt every step. Forgive me for leaving, but I couldn't keep drowning in the silence. There comes a time when silence becomes louder than words, and the hurt inside you becomes louder than the love you once felt. I had to walk away because my heart could no longer bear the weight of unspoken pain. I walked away not because I stopped loving you, but because I needed to love myself enough to find healing. Sometimes you have to let go to grow, even if it feels like the hardest thing you've ever done. The decision to leave wasn't made in anger or hate, but in exhaustion. My heart was weary from the pain, and I had nothing left to give but my own need for peace. Forgive me for walking away, but the truth is, sometimes the most painful decision you can make is the one that frees you from your own sorrow. I had to go to save myself, even if it meant leaving behind a piece of my heart. Walking away was never easy, but sometimes you have to leave behind what you love in order to heal. My heart was broken, and staying would have only shattered me more. I walked away not because I didn't care, but because staying would have meant losing myself. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to leave when it hurts the most. The hardest part about leaving is knowing that you're breaking your own heart, but sometimes walking away is the only way to protect it from being torn apart completely. Forgive me for leaving, but when love becomes a battlefield and peace is nowhere to be found, sometimes walking away is the only way to reclaim your sense of self. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I left because I had to stop losing myself in the process. My heart needed to be whole again, even if it meant walking away from everything I once knew. Forgiveness isn't just for the one who hurt you. Sometimes it's for yourself. I walked away to forgive myself for staying too long in a place where I didn't belong. Leaving wasn't a choice, it was a necessity. Sometimes the only way forward is to walk away from the past, no matter how much it hurts. The hardest goodbye is the one where your heart stays behind, but your soul knows it's time to go. I had to walk away, not because I wanted to, but because staying was slowly killing me. Forgive me for walking away, but there are times when staying means sacrificing your own happiness. I had to let go of what was breaking me inside, no matter how much I loved it. I walked away because my heart couldn't take the weight of promises unkept, of love that faded into the shadows. My soul longed for freedom, and the only way to find it was to leave. Forgiving myself for leaving was the hardest part, but staying would have meant ignoring the truth that was too painful to face. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let go. I walked away because I couldn't keep pretending that everything was okay. Sometimes the truth is that you're breaking inside, and no one can fix that but you. Forgiveness is a gift to yourself, and leaving was the most difficult way to give it to myself. I had to walk away to heal, even if it meant breaking my own heart. The pain of walking away was nothing compared to the pain of staying in a place where love no longer lived. I had to choose myself, even when it felt like I was losing everything. I walked away because my heart needed space to breathe, to heal. Sometimes love isn't enough. and the only way forward is to leave behind what you once thought you couldn't live without. Leaving was the hardest decision I've ever made, but it was the only way to save myself. I couldn't keep pretending I wasn't drowning in my own sorrow. Forgive me for leaving, but I had to let go of what was slowly suffocating me. Sometimes love means knowing when to walk away, even when your heart is screaming to stay. I left because staying meant allowing the pain to consume me. My heart couldn't handle the weight anymore, and walking away was the only way to find peace. There's a certain kind of strength in knowing when to walk away. It's not about quitting, it's about choosing yourself when the cost of staying is too great. Forgive me for walking away, but my heart couldn't handle the constant ache. I had to let go, even if it felt like I was tearing myself apart in the process.